Hey there, this is James Zhang. I've been working with the Partner Co compensation plan for over 13 years, and today I'm going to talk about how to maximize your tree placements. What's the strategy on how to drive to $10,000 a month plus? So I'm going to answer, how do you place people? Where do you place them? Where does your team place them? Do I build wide? Do I build deep? And all the above. So by the end of this, you should feel confident how to navigate for you and your team and just be able to steer clear towards all of your goals. I hope that sounds like something interesting to you. So let's talk about this compensation plan. There's uniqueness with it. If you're familiar with network marketing comp plans, there's only so many different types. Typically, there are comp plans that you can build limited levels deep and then unlimited levels wide. That's called unilevel. There's other plans where you can build unlimited levels deep, but only limited levels wide, maybe like a binary, for example. And then there's things like matrix. It's like a square, kind of interesting. What's unique about the Partner Co compensation plan, which is one of the reasons why it was rated #1 and ranked #1, is because it's the only compensation plan known as what's called a multi-line compensation plan. That means you can build unlimited levels wide and unlimited levels deep, have unlimited income. It actually pays 50-50. It is the best paying comp plan in the industry. It's paid every single week since its inception over 13 years ago. And so to this day, there is not another compensation plan that beats it. But with a lot of flexibility and freedom also comes the questions of, how do you maximize it? Do you build wide? Do you build deep? Like, what's the best way to do this? After working with this comp plan for a long time, talking with comp plan experts that really understand behaviors and duplication in systems, we have figured out that there's a simple strategy to think about and how to go from now on as well too, that I'd submit to you. So let me give you some philosophies and some principles, and then we're going to go through some live examples. And I invite you, as I go through these philosophies, I'm going to quiz you. And I'm going to ask you if you can tell where we should place people and all that. So here's a couple rules. First of all, you're going to build 2 lines down. This is driving to $10,000 a month. 2 lines down is the mission. So every single person, we start the very same way. We start with nobody, you, yourself, and you. That's what I love about network marketing. It's the fairest playing field in the world. You start at your own top and you build your own organization. Our mission to get to 10,000 a month is to drive to this. I want you to stencil this in your mind, put this into your subconscious, and expect this to happen. Senior officer is the rank promotion that's affiliated with this volume. But what you're really looking for is 2 lines, 2 teams that in 1 week is able to do 13,334 points on both of the lines. And you have what's called payline volume, 13,334 payline volume. It is a minimum of $2,000 base commission. And actually, when you factor in different bonuses, it's probably closer to $2,500, maybe $3,000 a week. It's at least $10,000 a month. Our #1 goal is to help you drive to $10,000 a month ASAP. And this is the best way to do it. So the first rule is this: 2 lines down. 2 lines down. Another philosophy is this: as you start sponsoring people down, where do you place them? You're going to look at your volume and you're going to see, where is my pay line at the time? Now, you might ask, how do I know what my pay line is? How do I know what my power line is? And what are those? The power line is at the moment that you're looking at your business, which one has more volume. The pay line is which one has less volume. The way that you can look at this is when you look into your back office, you'll go to report. We'll check out Mr. Bob Newcastle here. And when you go to this report, what you want to do is go to the menu and go under My Money and go under Volume. This report is always going to be the most accurate. So you take a look here and you'll see a couple of interesting numbers. I won't go into all of it on this one, but what you want to do is look all the way to the right at total volume for title advance and global profit sharing. This is your total volume on that line. In the line, there can be two different types of volume. One is called new volume bonus volume. This is when you sponsor someone personally. Any volume that you're sponsoring within their first Friday. So if you sponsored me, any volume I order my first 4 Fridays, up until I hit ultimate 1500 PV, you get a new volume bonus. So they separate this volume in this report because that volume is calculated differently. You get paid more upfront. There is also base commissionable volume. Base commissionable volume is all other volume that's not new volume bonus. So for example, that could be you sponsored me, but I'm out to my first 4 Fridays and I start ordering more. That's base commissionable volume. It could be you sponsored me, I sponsored someone. The person that I sponsored is base commissionable volume for you. Most of your income is going to start coming from your base commissionable volume as you start to duplicate and drive towards $10,000 a month. But what we do want to look at to designate power and pay line is just the right most. You want to see which line collectively has more volume, which line collectively has less volume. I hope that makes sense. So the rule is you want to place your newest person that you sponsored at the bottom of your pay line. In this scenario, it's literally 0, 0. So neither one is the power pay. But if you imagine a scenario where one has more volume than the other, you're going to place them at the pay line. So remember, rule, 2 lines down, put them at the bottom of your pay line. By the way, as you sponsor people, many of you might be selecting when you're sending out your links and enrolling people, you might not already place somebody and you might be using a default placement. When you use a default placement, someone enrolls, they're going to drop into this placement queue where you have up to 48 hours to place them. And if you don't place them yourself, they will get auto placed. The standard auto place algorithm will default to putting your person at the bottom of the pay line as well too. So it goes along the very same philosophy that we have. So 2 lines down, bottom of your pay line. Here's another rule as well. You never build 2 lines for somebody. So as you start to build and you start to sponsor people, you're going to sponsor people that could go under other people. Now, those are cool opportunities. But let's say you sponsored me and then you sponsored another person and you decide to place them under one of my lines. You don't want to place in both of my lines because you're kind of doing the work for me. Every single person is accountable for building 2 lines. If you want to get paid base commission in team sales, you need 2 teams. So you might be in a position, or your people might be in a position where we have what's called a gift from above, meaning your upline somewhere sponsored someone under you. So you didn't do the work, but you're still getting credit for the volume. I'm sure we all wouldn't mind that. Here's a note on that. Gifts from above aren't expected. It's a nice thing to have, but we are all accountable for 2 lines of business. If there's anything else, that's great. I think in my entire career, I had 1. So some of you have a really, really fortunate position, which must be nice, but it's all good. Hey, be grateful for every single thing that there are. Another note here is don't worry if you quote unquote mess up. Don't worry if you didn't understand things. Corporate will give you 10 days since the enrollment of your new partner. You have 10 days to make any placement or sponsor change with a simple customer support call. So the normal support line will help you adjust and change placements in the tree and all of that if you make any mistake and you want to make some adjustments. After 10 days, it is then a request to compliance, and you can simply email compliance@partner.co and you'll be able to get all of those adjusted. Okay, so we got those rules. I hope you're ready for a couple of examples then. So how does this actually look as you're driving to this $10,000 a month level, this to what we call optimized lines? This is what we want to get to. This is freedom. This is life-changing. This is career replacing. This can fuel retirement. Well, we're all going to start with ourselves. So let's give this example where you start with just by yourself. You sponsor somebody, and let's say you personally sponsor someone that comes on with 500 PV. they come in with what's known as a business pack level. It's like $800 of product. Question: if there's nothing on your lines, where should you place them? Line 1 or line 2? Take a guess. It's actually kind of a trick question because technically speaking, it doesn't really matter. Neither have volume on it. But for me, typically, if there's this situation where I can place them anywhere, I just go from left to right. It doesn't matter because it pays you the same. But for me, I'll put them on line 1. So now you have 500 PV. They ordered that. And that volume on your line 1, you now have 500 points. Okay, let's go to the next scenario. Now you sponsor someone else. This person comes in and this person's going to order a package as well. Where should you place this person now? Your line 1 or your line 2? Well, you think back to the rules and you're like, I need to look at the pay line. Which one's your pay line? Which one has less volume at this moment? Is it line 1 or line 2? Line 2. So if it's line 2, it's in your best interest to place your person on the line 2. So you're going to place this, and let's say they got 1,000 points. Congratulations. Now you have 1,000 on your line 2 and 500 on your line 1. Let me give one caveat here. Typically, you're going to build 2 lines deep. Typically, you're going to put them at the bottom of your pay line. There might be a scenario where you might decide to place this person maybe on your line 1. Why? Maybe they have mutual friends. Maybe they're brother, sister. You might not want to separate them. Maybe they'll be collaborative. So you might overrule that bottom of the pay line. But typically in 99% of the situations, you just default to bottom of the pay line and you just keep on going from there. So now you have a scenario of 500 points on line 1. You have 1,000 points on line 2. I'm going to assume that this is all within the same week just for simplicity. Question: at this particular moment now, which one is your power line and which one is your pay line? Which one has more volume and which one has less? Which one's a power line? Is it line 1 or is it line 2? It's actually line 2 because you have 1,000 points here now. Do you see how power and pay flip? It's dynamic. So you started this way where you had one person on line 1 with 500. This was the power, this was the pay. Line 1 was power, line 2 was pay. The moment you sponsored this 1,000 point person on line 2, guess what? Now you have power line is your line 2, pay line is line 1. How's the pay from that? If this were base commissions, you get paid 15% from the pay line, from the line with the lower amount of volume. And if you look at the right-hand side, when you're dealing with title advancing and rank advancement, after you hit manager and above, those titles require what's known as a 1-week pay line volume. So you're going to be looking at your pay line, total volume there, and that's going to be an important metric for you to evaluate the different titles that you have. Okay. So let's give another scenario. You sponsor someone else, and this person is going to come in with a 500 PV pack as well too. Question: where should you place them? We're building 2 lines deep, so we're going to keep on driving 2 lines deep. Number 2, we're going to think which one's the pay line. Line 1 is the pay line because there's less volume. So, ta-da! You now have that person under here. Now, where do you place them? You're going to put them under this first person that you sponsored. You have no choice. Good for them. It's an added plus to get in first. Where do you place them? You place them on your line 1, but they have their own line 1 and line 2. Where should you place it on this person's line 1 and line 2? Answer: it actually doesn't matter. Same as you. If they had no volume here, it's equal. You're going to place them on line 1 or line 2. For me, once again, I typically default to just line 1. It doesn't matter, but it makes it easier for me to think about. I hope this is making sense so far. Now, what's the benefit? You now have 1,000 points stored on line 1. You have 1,000 points stored on line 2. But here's an interesting dynamic. This person that you got started first now has a person in their line 1 and has 500 volume in one of the lines. Isn't that awesome? They're not getting paid yet, remember. They have to build their own other line to get paid off your team. You need 2 lines. They just didn't do it yet. If you're familiar with binary compensation plans, the first part of this comp plan, we use a strategy similar to a binary compensation plan, but it's not binary because you can build more levels wide, which we'll get into at another time. Now you sponsor someone else. Let's say this person comes in with 500 PV. Where should you place this person now? Well, you're going to build 2 lines deep. You're going to then see power and pay. Which one's power, which one's pay? Well, they're equal. They both have 1,000 points. So in this scenario, you can place this person wherever, and it's going to benefit your business similarly. You can make the judgment call. For me, just kind of to balance it out, I'm looking at the people. I'm thinking who has more potential. Just for numbers' sake, it's so new. I mean, I have 2 people on line 1, 1 on line 2. I'm just going to say, let's put this other person on line 2. Does it matter? Not exactly. You never know what's going to happen. So we want to build in place based on principles and let the cards fall where they will be. Okay. Now you have a scenario where you have 1,000 points in your line 1 and you have 1,500 points in line 2. If you're running for title, by the way, and assuming you did already at least $800 of lifetime earnings by this time, which is cumulative earnings on all bonuses, do you see how you already have 1,000 PV on your lower line, your pay line? So if you weren't manager yet, in this scenario, you hit 1,000 pay line volume, you're considered a manager. And if you're not yet ultimate in gold, remember, if you hit manager, you also do unlock ultimate in gold. So you double your new volume bonus, you unlock check match, you do a lot of cool things. Let's get a little bit more interesting now. Okay, next scenario. Your team is going to start to duplicate. Do you want duplicating teams? I know I do. Let's say the first person you got involved is excited. They're like, oh my gosh, I love the product. I love the business. I'm going through the system. And let's see what's going to happen. They sponsor their first person. Question. You're the mentor. Where should they place their person? Their line 1 or their line 2? You look at the rules. Build 2 lines deep. You look at the other rule. Place on the bottom of your pay line. Well, line 1 had your person, which is 500 points. Line 2 is nothing. So their pay line is their line 2. You know what you're going to do? You're going to place this person. Red designates their sponsor. Blue are who you sponsored. This red is going to go there. And let's say this person got 1,000 points. You know what's cool about that? This person now has 1,000 points on line 2, 500 points on line 1. Awesome. But you know what's also cool? This comp plan is unlimited levels roll up 100%. You can have someone 1,000 levels deep and all the volume flows up to the top of your line. So you didn't do this work, but this 1,000 points rolls up and counts towards them and it counts towards you. So you on your total line 1 have 500 plus 500 plus 1,000. Guess what? You have 2,000 volume. You're now starting to duplicate. You're now starting to leverage. Congratulations, you're a business owner, a big business owner. Let's give another scenario. Let's say this other person here that you got started is also engaging with the business and is excited too. Decides to sponsor someone. Question, where should they place this person? Their line 1 or their line 2? Line 1 is 500. Line 2 is 0. Line 2 is the pay line. They're probably going to want to place on their line 2. So in this scenario, green is their sponsor. Let's say that person got 500 PV. They now have 500 PV on line 1, 500 PV on line 2. And total for you on your line 2, you have 500 plus 1,000 plus 500, you have 2,000. Do you see how now you're starting to duplicate? Your line 1, you have 2,000 total. Your line 2, you have 2,000 total. If you're running for title and you go up to this title chart and you see this, you're like, okay. And let's just say you already did the lifetime earnings. You've been making money. You had a minimum of 1,000. 1 week pay line volume of 2,000 equals director. Congratulations. You're making at least $300 of base commission if they were base commissionable volume. But some of this volume is your personally sponsored people. So you're going to make new volume bonus. New volume bonus will actually pay you even more. So your paycheck is at least 300, if not more. And now you're starting to get some duplication. Are you starting to see how this clicks? How do you place? How does this work? And you see how this is also adding synergy to your team. That's why building deep is fun, because it encourages your people to do more as well too. This person may not have wanted to recruit someone or enroll someone if they didn't see that you place someone under them. It encourages them, because when you place someone under someone else, you can tell them, hey, in order for you to get paid off your team, you need two teams. I placed one person under one of your teams. If you bring in just one more, you can start getting paid. That encourages people. 1 + 1 = 10. That's why building deep is a fantastic strategy. Now let's give another interesting scenario. Let's throw it in the mix. Let me see if you got this still. Let's say your sponsor is now in the mix. Remember, your sponsor is building 2 lines deep too. Let's say your sponsor on their other line, it's a ginormous line. They got huge leaders. Like it's just doing amazing. It already got to that 13,334 points automatically on a Saturday. Subscription volumes they're maxed out. We call that optimization. Their pay line is you and your line. And let's say they now want to enroll more people on their pay line, which is where you're at. Let me ask you this question. If your sponsor were to sponsor and enroll someone, where should they place it if they have to place it within your tree somewhere? This now gets interesting. Well, number 1, you only want to build 2 lines deep, so they're going to place it there. Number 2, they're placing on their pay line. Number 3, okay, where should they place it? Well, for you, power and pay are the same right now. So they can kind of pick and choose. The other rule of thumb is you never build 2 lines for somebody. So your sponsor wouldn't place the person under this red person. Why? Well, this person, the first one you brought in, you sponsored someone on their line 1. They sponsored someone on their line 2. If your sponsor chooses to place their person under the red, where basically you and your sponsor are helping this person do the work for them. You never want to build 2 lines for someone unless they're your family and you just want to build out their position, because it's doing the work for them. Same thing on this side. If you were to place on your line 2, you wouldn't want to put it under the green person, because that's building this person. You and your sponsor helping build them, if that makes sense. So you're going to want to choose either under this place where you last sponsored, or under this place, also where you last sponsored. For sake of example, it's even lines. We're just going to imagine that they're going to place, your sponsor is going to place their new person under line 1 of this person. Once again, you can go line 1 or line 2. It doesn't matter. But for simplicity, I'm going from left to right. You see how this works now? This person has 1,000 volume. Helps your sponsor because it's their pay line. They need to place them somewhere anyway. They're stacking up the line that you had been building as well too, which helps this person on one line. It also continues to help this person on one line that you were helping. And the 1,000 also rolls up to you. So you collectively have 3,000 volume. Do you see how this is getting interesting now? Oh, well, let's see what else there is as well too. Let's say you sponsored another person. Now let's say you sponsor somebody. I gave you the answer already. But if you sponsored somebody, now where do you want to place them? Which one's your power? Which one's your pay? Line 1 is your power because it's 3,000 volume. Line 2 is your pay because it's 2,000 volume. You're going to want to place them on your pay line. You're not going to place them under the green person once again, because you don't want to build 2 lines for someone. You will want to put them under this person. Line 1 or line 2, doesn't matter. You decide to place on line 2 of the last person you personally sponsor. So here's the rule. When you sponsor somebody, place them under your pay line. The last person that you personally sponsor. You want to keep on stacking down that line. The reality is, if you're sponsoring a lot, how the business works is you're going to see a lot of bubbles. You're going to recruit a lot, and then someone takes off. That's how all of our trees look like. You're going to keep on scouting and sifting and finding your leaders until you find those partners. So you see in this example now, 1,500 plus 500 plus 500 plus 1,000. You have a total of 3,500 points on this line. Guess what? If you were to look at title now, what title would you be at? If this is your pay line 3,000 pay line volume, you look at the chart, you're at a 1 week pay line volume of 3,000. Congratulations, you are a vice president. Now it's getting exciting and everyone else in your team is starting to get promoted. By the way, this person is already a manager if they did their lifetime earnings because they have 1,000 PV here as well too. Your team is starting to get promoted. One final example, let's say you brought in one more person yourself. Where would you want to place this next person? You would want to put them on your pay line at the bottom of the last place that you personally sponsored. That's not your line 2, that's your line 1. You're going to want to go down here. Where do you want to place them? Well, your last sponsor was here. You don't want to place them on this second line though, because your upline sponsored someone. So to keep on just building one line deep from the person that you had last sponsored, you're going to put them under the orange person who your sponsor sponsored. Is your head spinning yet? It's a lot of fun. You might want to review this a couple times just so it clicks. Once it clicks, it's going to be super simple. You're going to place them. You decide to place on line 2 of this person. Doesn't matter. There's no one there. Total, you have 3,500 line 1. Total, you have 3,500 line 2. Congratulations. You are now building a solid business. And all you're doing is you're building 2 lines deep. You're placing it at the bottom of your pay line. You're making sure you don't build 2 lines for someone else. And what's the ultimate goal? As you synergize, our target is to, as soon as possible, get to $10,000 a month, 6 figures. We have our whole plan of 6 figures in 6 months. And once you get here and optimize the 2 lines, congratulations, that's over $10,000 a month, assuming you keep on doing that production. Remember, you don't get paid from title. You get paid from the weekly sales and productions you do, like any business does. But after that, you'll unlock some other ways to be able to earn, even ways to get to 10,000 a week and more. We'll cover that in another video. Hope this was helpful. Share this with your teammates. Be sure to review this. Other than that, cheers, and let's go.